I was still standing on a corner in Fresno, Nevada. What a fine sight to see. All right, I got no song for this. It's 8:40 in the morning. It is the 4th day of May 2024. It is 63 degrees and cloudy. Steve the cat is being a freak behind me. Let's talk about this. How is a Wretched project on Drivethru? So let's talk about the story of how I got to be able to publish my stuff on Drivethru, even though it is technically for Wretched. And as you know, Wretched has been banned from Drivethru, a fact that Miguel and Sylvia like to remind us about every few weeks. I'm not going to get into the wherewithal of the Red Room being banned from Drivethru. There's their side of the story. There's Drivethru's side of the story. There's the truth. And that's none of my business. But this is a product technically for Wretched Vigilantes, which is, as you know, has been my year-long project that I've been working on for the Red Room. Written 5 books for the setting now, I think, right? The campaign setting, Wretched Vigilantes, which I wrote sort of with Miguel. Bad guys never win, which I wrote all by myself. Good guys always lose, which I wrote all by myself. Henchmen sing the blues, again, all by myself. The Supermax, that was all me. And finally, this one. The Beastry, also I wrote, pretty much that was a year of my life doing the research for the Beastry, but some other people contributed to the Beastry as well, so I can't take 100% credit for the Beastry, but I take a huge chunk of credit. This has been a year or 2 years of my life, from the initial time of contacting Miguel and Sylvia and seeing if they wanted to do a superhero game to Fresno, Nevada, which I consider the end/beginning of the whole 2-year-long Wretched Vigilantes Hammontville storyline, and making it my own. And it is my own. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. Other than one-time interview, Miguel and Sylvia have contributed not a lot to the creation of this. I don't really think Miguel ever really wanted to do supers. But we did do supers, and I kept making supers, and he never said stop, He could have. I wanted to be clear that there was always communication on my end with them. And a few months ago, when I approached them the idea of trying to get Wretched stuff on Drivethru, neither of them said no, So they knew that I was going to try to do this. And I contacted Drivethru multiple times, through multiple different avenues, to see if, yes, I understand Miguel and Sylvia and the Red Room has been banned from Drivethru for men and other things. But if I made for use with Wretched, would that be okay? And one guy said no. One guy said we had to talk about it. One guy said, send us the stuff so we can look at it. But basically, we hemmed and hawed. This wasn't a overnight thing. This was like 2 months of communication between myself and Drivethru to see if they were okay with this. So they had a copy of the product to look at before I ever even did this. And then about a week ago, I contacted them again to see if they were okay with this, to follow up. And they said again, yeah, you can post stuff for use with Wretched. And the guy who made the Wretched Asia thing, he apparently has gotten some stuff on Drivethru already, even though it's technically for Wretched. So if you want to make product for the Wretched campaign setting, source books for the campaign setting, or for the rule system, you can, and post it on Drivethru. So this one, I told Miguel and Sylvia about this on Monday, and Tuesday it went live. They've been posting all these videos and comments saying, yes, Wretched is on, but we're not. Because they are still, and then they did some name calling, but I don't want to get into that. My stuff has always been source books, from the very first one, Wretched Vigilantes, all the way up to the Beastry in Fresno, Nevada. I never wrote them with the idea that these are only going to be for that campaign, that setting, for that rule set. They were always written from my point of view, as I was writing for anybody to use with any campaign setting. Any superhero role-playing game rule set, or just any rule set in general. I made them as general D20 as I could, while still acknowledging the system. I took apart and rewrote the system multiple times to see if I could make it work as a superhero game, to find the strengths and weaknesses of Fresno. And again, I reached out to Miguel and Sylvia to see if there's stuff they wanted me to do, not do. They ever wanted to talk about it. The communication was there, but it was never as much, as maybe it could have been. And that's probably more my fault. I don't know, where do things stand between me and them right now? Don't know. Maybe Fresno is the last thing I ever do for them. Maybe anything I do going forward for the Wretched Vigilantes stuff, I do on my own. Maybe I do it through them. I don't know. I asked them a couple days ago if there's anything else they want me to work on. And it was kind of like, well, maybe in the future we might. There was a thing there were 2 different projects Sylvia said she wanted to do with me, and those kind of are just out there. I spent like 2 weeks doing research on one of the projects, and then I was like, all right, I'm just going to send it to you. Do whatever you want. And so that leaves us with this. So they said I could put a Wretched Vigilantes product on this, and I put the most recent one. I put the Fresno Nevada one on because it's the most recent one. It's the smallest, and it presents a brand new campaign setting that has nothing to do with the previous stuff. So there's no connection in this one whatsoever with New Flesh, with Darkness, with Conspiracy. Pretty much it stands on its own. It's a new part of California. I mean, the United States. It's a brand new origin where I, do the whole solar-powered superhero system. It was way more research. It's way more scientifically accurate. I love the research. I can say very proudly the amount of research I've done for each one of the Wretched projects was awesome. I mean, just the websites I visited, emails I sent out, people I talked to, phone calls I had, none of these were just coming out of nowhere. All the science about the solar flares and the radiation and the EMPs, that's all accurate. Now, Fresno, Nevada, of course, is a make-believe town. It doesn't exist. It is based upon a real town, though. It is based upon the town of Ely, Nevada, and partially on the town of Eureka, Nevada. Now, why did I pick Ely and Eureka, Nevada to become the source for Fresno, Nevada? Because they're both within driving distance of certain important Nevada locations that fed into the story. So I needed them to be kind of close to Area 51 and 52. That goes without saying. And Ely, Nevada and Eureka, Nevada, the two towns that Fresno is based on and where Fresno is located in the map of Nevada, are both relatively close. Well, relatively close being, sort of a illusion when it comes to driving distances in Nevada. But they're within you can't walk to Area 51 from these towns, but you could definitely drive there. So that was important. Being close to the Hoover Dam was important. Being relatively close to Las Vegas was important, but not so close that they were affected by Vegas. There's a couple other sites in the area that I wanted them to be close to. A few of the art installations that I really felt fed into the story. A couple abandoned mines, an abandoned defense bunker, the world clock. They were all things that when I was researching Nevada that I felt tell the story. Why Nevada? Why Fresno, Nevada? Well, that goes all the way back to years and years ago of games we ran at CES Games and Anime, and me making up this imaginary town. That was the cornerstone for a couple of my real world campaigns, including my post-apocalypse campaign, the Waffle Apocalypse, which also shows up in Fresno, Nevada. So I was running a post-apocalypse campaign, and I set it in an imaginary town, Fresno, Nevada. So that's kind of where Fresno, Nevada got its start. So it is a campaign setting for use with any tabletop role-playing game superhero system, specifically for Wretched. But it's really, like I said, every Wretched book I wrote is a source book. It's not a system. You could use this with any superhero role-playing game. The rules are easy enough to hack. I give enough explanation for the origins, the science, the history, the research. I made phone calls. I mean, I contacted the Eli Nevada Chamber of Commerce. Every one of these things I do, I research. You can just, if you go to the, look at this, 149 footnotes, including reaching out to the Chamber of Commerce, inspirational viewings. Yeah, so none of these are just, revisiting all the powers again. So even if you don't have the previous books, you got a general idea of the stuff. We've got NPCs. We've got an adventure. I've got a post-apocalypse setting with a brand new faction called the Dino Cons, because I wanted to make a Saturday morning cartoon post-apocalypse dinosaur faction, and Dino Cons just sounds like something you would hear from a Saturday morning cartoon. Dino Cons, new from the Dino Cons. It's Terror Rex, the horrible leader. Just yeah. So yeah. Now I wanted to break away from the AI art thing, so I found about 100 public domain things on Adobe and others, public domain stock photos. I don't know why Miguel used the AI art after I found all the stock photos to avoid the AI art thing, but whatever. I use art. I didn't use any AI art for the pictures. All the pictures of the individuals I found were stock photos. Again, I don't know why he went with the AI art. But that's always been part of the communication. I guess that's, because we only communicated through text on Twitter. Sometimes things were lost in the communication, maybe. I've talked to him about sometimes it felt like there was chunks of the product I sent that were missing when he printed them out. And I guess, again, that's just the computer thing, the communication thing, the language thing. I don't know. I know I did my due diligence to make these as close to what I thought they wanted as possible. I asked them if it was okay for it to be on Drivethru before it was. I don't know if they have a problem with it or not. They say they don't. Now, selfishly, I did this because obviously I want more people to be aware of the Wretched stuff, because I think the Wretched stuff are great source books. Everything Miguel and Sylvia has written, even if you never use the system, they're great source books. I mean, they're just dripping with information and storytelling, and just wow. And obviously my stuff is fucking awesome, and all the research and this stuff, whatever. So I wanted this as a way to bypass whatever bad feelings might be out there, and just let people know, here's this system out there. Here's this stuff out there. Yes, it's on Drivethru. My product right now, the only one I have on Drivethru Fresno, is pay what you want, because it's more important to get people to be aware of it than it is for me to make money off this right now. Because selfishly, obviously, yes, I want more people to be aware of the stuff I made. I want people to buy the Beastery. I want people to buy the Wretched Vigilantes books, because those are mine. And that's, my creations, my copyrights, my research. And so I want that to be my money. I mean, if that's a problem, I'm sorry. But let's be honest. If I can make more money by publishing this myself, then yeah, I'm going to publish it myself. If I can reach a wider audience by publishing it myself on Drivethru, then of course I'm going to publish it myself on Drivethru, because this is a business. And if by putting it on Drivethru and surpassing the hurdle of them being bad, I bring more attention to them, and they go to the sites that do carry Red Room stuff, like Giant Slayer Games, Biggest Geekest, Lulu, and they buy, New Flesh, they buy Conspiracy, they buy Darkness, they buy Old West. That's more money for Miguel and Sylvia. That's more recognition for Miguel and Sylvia. All this stuff, that's more people will just go and see, wow, this guy wrote some amazing source books. I mean, fuck the actual system. The source books that he's written, and they've written, the adventures they've written, the whole world of the supernatural they've written is amazing. So yeah, they're great source books. I would definitely list them up with Osprey and GURPS and some of the other, system neutral source books out there. It's like, yeah, you could use them for the Wretched system. You could use them for any D20 system. You could ignore the rules and just use them for whatever system you want because they're just good source books. My stuff are good source books, I think. Some better than others. I think Wretched Vigilantes is good. I think Bad Guys Always Lose is okay. I think Good Guys Always Win could have been better, The Tags Road Trip was a lot of fun to write and research. But I could redo that. I could do a better version of it, I think. I don't think I made it goofy and over the top enough, and I think I tried too much. And what it should have just been is just more of a, here's how the rest of the United States reacts to superheroes as seen through the eyes of this road trip. So if I were ever to rewrite one, that would be probably the first or second I'd rewrite. Henchmen Sing the Blues, I think, is great. The amount of research, the history that I wrote, tying everything together, sort of giving this end to the Wretched Vigilante storyline and putting a bow on it was great. But on the other hand, it's also a little long in the tooth. And it does get a little redundant. So that's another one I could write better. The Supermax one, I think the Supermax one is perfect. Quick, to the point, provides the free settings, gives you the history behind the 3 settings. All the 3 settings in Supermax are based upon real places. So there's, you can understand them. Area 52 is a real place. Alcatraz is a real place. The offshore oil facility research base that I used to make as the resource for the deep is a real place. So yeah, these are all based upon real places. They were also all heavily researched. So I think that was just pretty much perfect for a campaign setting. The Beastry, obviously the Beastry is great because, like I always say, when in doubt, make a monster book. And that's what I did. I visited, all this different research, especially for the real world stuff. I don't have to research made up shit like goblins, but if I'm going to research cryptids, then I had to go look up cryptids, and I had to talk to people at the Cryptids Association. When I did all the real world animals like the spiders and the stuff like that, that was all things I had to research. I had to go and try and find out, all right, what is the world's largest spider? What is the world's most venomous snake? Blah, 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 blah. So that was all, And then all the supernatural stuff, well, that's mostly Miguel and Sylvia, the demons and all that other stuff. I redid their take on undead, but everything else, that whole second half is that. The cryptids and real life stuff, the dinosaurs, especially the cryptids and the real life stuff. Who knew there were so many freaking Bigfoots? Jeez. Yeah. And then there's this. This is just more a loving. This one was written, 1, to introduce a brand new campaign setting, 2, to sort of be a thank you to all the people I've gamed with over the years, and to give them a little shout out and a little love. Everybody I've gamed with at Seth's is hidden in here someplace. Several members of my family are hidden in this one someplace. I really think the idea of superpowers coming from these unprecedented solar events is cool. It's not unusual. It's not unique. I'm sure solar powered supers have been done before. But then coming up with, I had to explain, well, obviously it isn't just solar energy that triggers these powers. It's got to be something else. The solar eclipses are just the catalysts. Now, as I've explained before, as you guys know, I do this thing every March where I do Mega Power March, where I go through the interweb and find all these random superhero generators, and each day I do a different one. So about a year ago, March 2023, as I was doing the random generators for March of last year, the number one story that I saw was about unprecedented solar events that were being seen on the sun. Solar flares larger than they'd ever seen, solar storms larger than they'd ever seen, unprecedented amount of gamma waves, unprecedented amount of solar energy bombarding the Earth, huge sunspots. There was a pulsar that went off that in like March of 2023. Well, I mean, you know, we saw the light in March in 2023 when it actually went off was like 50 years ago, 66 years ago. But it's the single brightest thing that's ever been recorded in the history of us watching the stars. This pulsar that we saw in March that was, you know, exploded 66 years ago. So all these events happened around the exact same time. And I thought, as I was randomly generating these heroes, this would be a great origin. And then this year, March 1st, as I'm doing it the exact same thing, and I'm looking at stories, and they're talking about the eclipse coming up, and they're talking about another series of unprecedented solar events. On March 1st, we had the single most largest solar event ever recorded since we started recording the sun. It was like X96, so it was 96 times more powerful than any solar event that had been recorded before. It was the largest. It was 8 minutes long. It was the largest. It blew out satellites. You know, I'm just like, and you just have to think, well, what would happen actually? And if comic book physics existed, again, this sounds like a pretty fucking awesome origin for supers. So that was the origin. I made up this town. That's the setting. It's on Drivethru. It's pay what you want. I would appreciate it even if you never use it, if you just download it to get the algorithm, to get the links to show people that Wretched is out there. And if it does well, I'll put more stuff up. And if it doesn't do well, I won't. Either way, you know, I did it and I showed it to do. So, you know, if you want to make stuff for Wretched and want to put it on Drivethru, you can. Unfortunately, Miguel and Sylvia and Red Room are still banned directly, but that's something they have to decide whether they want to work on or not, you know. And that, again, that's between them and Drivethru. So if you're offended by the fact that I put my sold out and put on my stuff on Drivethru, well, I'm sorry you're offended. But on the other hand, what part of me saying consistently since 2015 that I will sell out because I'm in this for the money did you not understand? And yeah. So there you go. Link down below. Please check it out. Maybe that was 22 minutes too long, but I wanted to explain everything. Again, you know what? I asked them. They said they were okay with it. It brings more attention to them at the end of the day, so that's a good thing. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll see y'all later.